On June 9, 1995, a warm summer night in Alma, Arkansas, families gathered for a Little League baseball game. The air was filled with the sounds of cheering, the crack of bats, and children's laughter. Parents chatted in the stands, their attention divided between the game and catching up with neighbors. It was the kind of evening that epitomized small-town America, safe, familiar, and full of community spirit. But as twilight settled over the ballpark, an unthinkable tragedy was about to unfold. In a matter of moments, 6-year-old Morgan Nick would vanish into the darkness, leaving behind a mystery that would haunt this close-knit community and the entire nation for nearly 3 decades. Her disappearance would become one of the most perplexing and heartbreaking cases in Arkansas history, forever changing the lives of those who knew her and altering the way we think about child safety in America. Morgan's disappearance began with a simple request. The blonde, blue-eyed 6-year-old begged her mother, Colleen Nick, for permission to join her friends in catching fireflies near the parking lot. It was a quintessential summer activity, one that countless children engage in without a second thought. But for Colleen, something felt off. "I had this gut feeling," Colleen would later recount. "A voice in my head was screaming not to let her go." But surrounded by other parents who assured her it was safe, Colleen relented. It was a decision that would haunt her for years to come. At approximately 10:45 p.m., Morgan's friends returned without her. They reported that Morgan had gone to the parking lot to shake sand out of her shoes, a mundane task that should have taken mere seconds. But in those fleeting moments, Morgan Nick disappeared without a trace. Witnesses later described seeing a creepy man near a red pickup truck with a white camper shell. He was described as a white male, about 6 feet tall, with a medium to solid build, sporting a mustache and a short beard. Estimated to be between 23 and 38 years old, this mysterious figure would become the focus of a manhunt that would span decades. The response was immediate and intense. Local law enforcement, joined by state police and eventually the FBI, combed the area. Search dogs were brought in, but they couldn't pick up Morgan's scent. Roadblocks were set up, and an Amber Alert was issued, though at the time the system was still in its infancy and not as widespread as it is today. Despite the massive search effort, no physical evidence was found. No clothing, no signs of struggle, nothing to indicate what had happened to the little girl in the pink shirt and white tennis shoes. It was as if Morgan Nick had simply vanished into thin air. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, investigators pursued thousands of leads. They interviewed witnesses, followed up on reported sightings, and scrutinized every detail of that fateful night. But one name kept surfacing: Billy Jack Lynx. Lynx was no stranger to law enforcement. A World War II veteran with a troubled past, he had a history of sexual offenses that made him a person of interest in Morgan's disappearance. On August 15, 1995, just over 2 months after Morgan's disappearance, Lynx attempted to abduct a young girl from a local Sonic drive-in in Van Buren, Arkansas, less than 8 miles from where Morgan was last seen. This brazen act raised immediate red flags for investigators. Lynx drove a red pickup truck that matched the description given by witnesses at the baseball field. When questioned about Morgan Nick, he denied any involvement. But without physical evidence linking him to the scene, investigators found themselves at an impasse. The focus on Lynx was not without controversy. Some critics argued that fixating on him might have caused investigators to overlook other potential leads. Others believed that Lynx's criminal history made him too obvious a suspect, suggesting that the real perpetrator might be someone entirely unexpected. As the investigation continued, other theories emerged. Some speculated about the possibility of a trafficking ring, while others wondered if the abduction could have been carried out by someone known to the family. These theories, while investigated, never yielded concrete results. The lack of physical evidence at the scene continued to baffle investigators. How could a child be taken from a crowded area without leaving a single trace? This question would fuel countless debates and theories in the years to come. As months turned into years, the case of Morgan Nick grew cold. Leads that once seemed promising led to dead ends. The initial media frenzy died down, and for many, Morgan became just another face on a missing persons poster. But for Colleen Nick and her family, the nightmare never ended. Refusing to give up hope, Colleen channeled her grief into action. In 1996, she established the Morgan Nick Foundation, an organization dedicated to preventing child abductions and supporting families of missing children. The foundation's work has been transformative. It has aided in the recovery of numerous missing children and provided crucial support to families navigating the unimaginable pain of a missing child. Through her tireless advocacy, Colleen ensured that Morgan's story stayed alive in the public consciousness. The Foundation's efforts led to significant changes in how missing children cases are handled in Arkansas. The Morgan Nick Amber Alert, implemented in 2001, has become a crucial tool in the rapid response to child abductions. Yet as the years passed, the case wasn't without its share of false hopes and disappointments. In 2010, a woman came forward claiming to be Morgan Nick, but DNA testing proved otherwise. Each setback was a fresh wound for the Nick family, but it also strengthened their resolve to find answers. The case also sparked broader discussions about child safety in America. Parents became more vigilant, communities implemented new safety measures, and law enforcement agencies developed more sophisticated techniques for handling missing children cases. In many ways, the tragedy of Morgan Nick's disappearance led to positive changes that have protected countless other children. As technology advanced, so did the methods available to investigators. In 2019, detectives decided to revisit the case with fresh eyes and new tools at their disposal. They returned to Billy Jack Links as a potential suspect, this time armed with forensic techniques that didn't exist in 1995. Investigators tracked down Links's old red truck, which had passed through multiple owners since his death in 2000. What they found inside would breathe new life into the decades-old case. In late 2023, hair samples recovered from Links's truck were sent to Othram Labs, a Texas-based company specializing in advanced DNA analysis. Othram's techniques can extract usable DNA from samples that were once considered too degraded or contaminated for traditional methods. On October 1, 2024, the results were announced. The DNA from the hair samples matched either Colleen Nick or one of her immediate family members. This breakthrough strongly suggested that Morgan had indeed been in Links's vehicle. The implications of this discovery were enormous. It provided the first physical evidence linking Links to Morgan's disappearance, transforming him from a person of interest to the primary suspect in the case. This development reignited public interest in the case. Media outlets across the country covered the story, and social media buzzed with discussions about what this could mean for solving the mystery of Morgan Nick's disappearance. For the Nick family, the news brought a mix of emotions. While it provided some long-sought answers, it also raised painful new questions about what exactly happened to Morgan after she was taken. Despite the breakthrough in DNA evidence linking Billy Jack Links to Morgan's disappearance, many questions remain unanswered. If Links did abduct Morgan, how did he manage to do so without being seen by any of the numerous people at the crowded baseball field? Some investigators have speculated that Links might have had an accomplice, someone who helped him carry out the abduction and conceal evidence. This theory has led to renewed interest in Links' associates and acquaintances from that time period. Another pressing question is what happened to Morgan after she was taken. Despite extensive searches over the years, no trace of her has ever been found. The lack of physical evidence has fueled various theories, from the possibility that she was taken across state lines to more grim scenarios that investigators and family members alike are reluctant to contemplate. Links' death in 2000 while serving time for an unrelated crime complicates matters further. He took any secrets he held about that night to his grave, leaving investigators to piece together what happened based on circumstantial evidence and the new DNA findings. The case has also raised questions about how it was initially handled. Could more have been done in those crucial first hours after Morgan's disappearance? Were there leads that weren't fully explored? These questions have led to discussions about improving protocols for missing children cases and ensuring that no stone is left unturned in future investigations. As we approach the 3-decade mark since Morgan Nick's disappearance, her case continues to resonate with people across the nation. It serves as a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities children face and the enduring pain of not knowing a loved one's fate. Colleen Nick, despite the years of heartache and disappointment, remains steadfast in her belief that Morgan's story isn't over. "He stole her from us," Colleen said, referring to Links. "But he didn't win." Her words encapsulate the unwavering hope and determination that have defined the search for Morgan. The fight for justice continues, not just for Morgan, but for every missing child still waiting to be found. The Morgan Nick Foundation continues its vital work, and law enforcement agencies remain committed to solving this case and others like it. The recent DNA evidence has reignited interest in the case, and investigators are hopeful that it might lead to more people coming forward with information. Every tip, no matter how small it might seem, could be the key to finally unlocking the mystery of what happened to Morgan Nick on that summer night in 1995. If you have any information regarding this case, no matter how insignificant it may seem, please reach out immediately to the authorities or the Morgan Nick Foundation. Your tip could be what finally brings closure to a family that has been searching for answers for nearly 3 decades. Morgan Nick's story reminds us of the preciousness of every child and the importance of community vigilance. It's a call to action for all of us to remain aware, to speak up when we see something suspicious, and to never give up hope in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. As we conclude this exploration of one of America's most haunting unsolved mysteries, we're left with a mix of sadness for what was lost and hope for what might still be found. Morgan Nick may have vanished on that June night in 1995, but her story and the tireless efforts to find her continue to touch lives and inspire change to this day. If cold cases interest you, please like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments below. And please, if you have information about an unsolved crime, contact local law enforcement.